All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Sabbath if you're keeping Sabbath today. Welcome back. I'm going to continue studying Isaiah. We ended at 35 last time, so we'll be starting at 36 this time. This is a Bible study, so you're welcome to study along if you want to. Go ahead and share this. Okay. Should be shared. All right. So, we are, like I said, Isaiah 36. This is the Dead Sea Scrolls translation, some of the Dead Sea Scrolls that were found. I've got the Septuagint pulled up to fill in some of the blanks. This is the Brenton Septuagint, Thompson Septuagint I've got over here. I use it rarely. Interlinear Bible. It's useful sometimes. The KJV is a Masoretic text. The Isaiah Targum, which has got a lot of rabbinic stuff in it, so I'm real careful with that. And I've got the Text Critical New Testament pulled up. So, happy Sabbath, Mick. Happy Sabbath, trust y'all. Hope y'all are doing good. So, I probably need to do that too, in case there's any issues. Let's see. Hang on one second. Yes, it's me. All right, so I'm signed in now. Happy Sabbath, Mick. And trust y'all and Luke. So, all right. So Isaiah 36. Now in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, attacked all of the fortified cities of Yehuda and captured them. That's how it's pronounced in Hebrew. It's Yehuda. The king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem to King Hezekiah with a very large army. See this word very here? This would be missing in our modern Bibles and included in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So for some reason it dropped out. Go to, see it's got with a great army in the Masoretic. So great would be large, so great army. But here in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's got very large army. Puts extra emphasis on it. It's not just a large army, it's a huge army. He stood by the aqueduct from the upper pool in the fuller's field highway. Then Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah, no J back then, so this would be a Y, the son of Asaph, the recorder, came out to him. Rabshakeh said to them, now tell Hezekiah, king of Yehuda. So this dropped out of the text for some reason. Thus says the great king, the king of Assyria, what confidence is this in which you trust? You say that your counsel and strength for the war are only vain words. Now in whom do you trust that you have rebelled against me? Behold, you trust in the staff of this bruised reed, even in Egypt, which if a man leans on it, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all who trust in him. But if you tell me we trust in Yahuwah, our Elohim, Elohim's the word for God in Hebrew. And back then, this W would have been a U sound. So it would be Yahuwah and not eh. There's no eh in that. It's AH. We trust in Yahuwah, our Elohim. Isn't that he rose He whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away, and has said to Yehuda and to Jerusalem, you shall worship before this altar. He's got a note here. So here the scroll says in Jerusalem with the words crossed out. So he's actually looking at the Dead Sea Scrolls. Of course, you have to look at them and translate them, but so you shall worship before this altar in Jerusalem, but in Jerusalem is crossed out in the scrolls. Now, therefore, please make a pledge to my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses if you are able on your part to set riders on them. How then can you turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put your trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? Have I come up now without Yahuwah against this land to destroy it? Yahuwah said to me, go up against this land and to destroy it. Then Eliakim, Shebna, and Joah said to him, please speak with your servants, with us in Aramaic, for we understand it, and don't speak these words in the hearing of the men who are on the wall. So this would be pre-captivity of the northern kingdom. Right? Yeah, pretty sure. So the northern Israel. So they're saying speak in Aramaic. So this would be before the language was Babylonianized. So they had the original Hebrew. So Aramaic, for we understand it. Don't speak these words in the hearing of the men who are on the wall. So they understood the words in Aramaic, but they didn't want the other people on the wall to hear it. But Rabshakeh said, has my master sent me only to you and to your master to speak these words, and not to the men who sit on the wall, who will eat their own dung and drink their own urine with you? Then Rabshakeh stood and called out with a loud voice in the Yehudim's, not Jews, language, and said, hear the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Well, it wouldn't matter if it was after the northern kingdom was taken or not. The southern kingdom still wasn't taken, so they'd still be speaking the original language. So the Yehudim's language. Hear the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Pretty sure it's northern kingdom though. Thus says the king of Assyria, don't let Hezekiah deceive you, for he will not be able to deliver you. Don't let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahuwah, saying, Yahuwah will surely deliver us. This city won't be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Don't listen to Hezekiah, for thus says the king of Assyria, make your peace with me, and come out to me, and each of you eat from his vine, and each one from his fig tree, and each one of you drink the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, to a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards. Beware lest Hezekiah persuade you, saying, Yahuwah will deliver us. Have any of the gods of the nations delivered their lands from the hand of the king of Assyria? That sounds similar to what the Romans said. Where are your gods at? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim? Have they delivered Samaria from my hand? Who are they among all the gods of these countries that have delivered their country out of my hand, that Yahuwah should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? But they remained silent and said nothing in reply, for the king's commandment was, don't answer him. Then Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph, the recorder, came to Hezekiah with their clothes torn, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. 22. Yeah, let's go to... So here, if we go to Isaiah 36, in the interlinear, now remember this would be the Masoretic text. It doesn't have the corrections from the Dead Sea Scrolls in it. But still useful for researching some of the words. What does it say? Three. I'm not used to looking up the verses in this. Which verse is it? 11. So 11. So Arameth. Speak to your servants in Arameth. And KJV has in the Syrian language. Syrian tongue. So you'll see 2 Kings 18:26 parallels this passage almost word for word, I believe. So Ezra also was written in Aramaic, translated. Daniel, partly in Aramaic, because they went into exile in Babylon. So Daniel's in Babylon. Part of his is written in Aramaic. Ezra's the return of the people from Babylon. So it's got Aramaic influence. (37) When Hezekiah the king heard it, he tore his clothes, covered himself with sackcloth, and went into Yahuwah's house. He sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priest, covered with sackcloth, to Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz. They said to him, Thus says Hezekiah, Today is a day of trouble, and of rebuke, and of rejection, for the children have come to the birth, and there is no strength to give birth. It may be Yahuwah your Elohim will hear the words of Rabshakeh, whom the king of Assyria his master has sent to defy the living Elohim, and will rebuke the words which Yahuwah your Elohim has heard. Therefore lift up your prayer for the remnant that is left in this city. So in Jerusalem, in this city. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah. Isaiah said to them, Tell your master, Yahuwah says, Don't be afraid of the words that you have heard, with which the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I will put my spirit in him. So note here, the word order is switched from the Masoretic text. You find that a lot in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And they'll say that the Dead Sea Scrolls are backwards from the Masoretic text, but it's not the Dead Sea Scrolls that's backwards. It's the Masoretic text that's backwards. It got switched around. So, okay. Behold, I'll put my spirit in him, and he will hear news and will return to his own land. I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. So Rabshakeh returned and found the king of Assyria warring against Libnah, for he had heard that he was departed from Lachish. He heard news concerning Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia. He has come out to fight against you. When he heard it and returned, he sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, Thus you shall speak to Hezekiah, king of Yehudah, saying, Don't let your Elohim, in whom you trust, deceive you, saying, Jerusalem won't be given into the hand of the king of Syria. Behold, you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all lands by destroying them utterly. Shall you be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered them, which my fathers have destroyed? Gozan, Haran, Rezeph, and the children of Eden, who were in Telassar. That's interesting. Children of Eden. Where is the king of Hamath, and the king of Arpad, and the king of the city of Sepharvaim, of Hinah, and Ivah, and Samaria? Hezekiah received the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. Then Hezekiah went up to Yahuwah's house and spread it before Yahuwah. Hezekiah prayed to Yahuwah, saying, Yahuwah of armies, the Elohim of Israel, who is enthroned among the cherubim, you are the Elohim, even you alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made heaven and earth. Turn your ear, Yahuwah, and hear. Open your eyes, Yahuwah, and behold. Hear all the words of Sennacherib, who has sent to defy the living Elohim. Truly, Yahuwah, the kings of Assyria have destroyed all the countries This is not in the text. All the countries. And have cast their gods or Elohim into the fire, for they were no Elohim, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. The Hebrew word Elohim can be plural and singular. But the work of men's hands is actually plural, but it can be singular. Wood and stone. Therefore, they have destroyed them. Now, therefore, Yahuwah, our Elohim, saved us. Or this would probably be like our Eloah. Save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you are Yahuwah, our Elohim, even you only. Then Isaiah the son of Amoz sent to Hezekiah, saying, Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, says, because you have prayed to him against Sennacherib, king of Assyria, this is the word which Yahuwah has spoken concerning him. The virgin daughter of Zion has despised you and ridiculed you. The daughter of Jerusalem has shaken her head at you. Whom have you defied and blasphemed? Against whom have you exalted your voice and lifted up your eyes on high? Against the Holy One of Israel. By your servants have you defied Yahuwah, or the Master, and have said, with the multitude of my chariots, I have come up to the height of the mountains, to the innermost parts of Lebanon. I will cut down its tall cedars and its choicest cypress trees. I will enter into the farthest height, the forest of its fruitful field. Remember, trees can be people in Scripture also. I have dug and drunk foreign water, and with the sole of my feet I will dry up all the rivers of Egypt. And the waters can be people too. Have you not heard how I have done it long ago and formed it in ancient times? Now I have brought it to pass that it should be yours to destroy fortified cities, turning them into ruinous heaps. Therefore their inhabitants had little power, little strength. That's interesting. Let's see. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. For thou hast a little strength. He's kept my word, not denied my name. They were dismayed and confounded. They were like the grass of the field, and like the green herb, like the grass on the housetops, scorched by the east wind. So this would not be in there. And like a field before its crop has grown. Like the grass on the housetops, scorched by the east wind. But I know you're sitting down, you're going out, you're coming in, and you're raging against me. And your arrogance has come up into my ears. See how much easier to understand the text is without this stuff just stuck in there. It flows much more smoothly. You just go. And your arrogance has come up into my ears. Therefore I will put my hook in your nose and my bridle in your lips, and I will turn you back by the way by which you came. That's interesting too. Where's that? Maybe it's 39. $41. So I got, canst thou put a hook into his nose? Probably doesn't parallel, but it's interesting. I think that means to subdue. So we can't subdue Leviathan, but he can. Therefore I will put my hook in your nose. He's going to subdue him. And my bridle in your lips, and I will turn you back by the way by which you came. This shall be the sign to you. They, not you, they will eat this year that which grows of itself, and in the second year that which springs from the same, and in the third year sow and reap and plant vineyards and eat their fruit. The, not remnant, the ones found who escaped to the house of Yehuda will again take root downward and bear fruit upward. Bearing fruit is keeping his law. Psalm 1 and Galatians, fruits of the Spirit. For out of Zion, not Jerusalem, out of Zion, which Zion is Jerusalem, a remnant will go out and survivors will escape from Jerusalem. So it got mixed up, got switched around. The zeal of Yahuwah of armies will perform this. Therefore Yahuwah says concerning the king of Assyria, he will not come to this city, nor cast up a mound against it, nor shoot an arrow there, neither will he come before it with a shield. So this doesn't belong here, it belongs up here. By the way that he came, by the same he shall return, and he shall not come to this city, says Yahuwah. For I will defend this city to save it, for my own sake, and for my servant David's sake. Then Yahuwah's angel went out and struck 185,000 men in the camp of the Assyrians. When men arose early in the morning, behold, these were all dead bodies. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed, went away, returned to Nineveh, and stayed there. As he was worshiping in the house of Nisroch, his god, his Elohim, Adremelech and Sharezer, his son, struck him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Ararat. Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his place. So that's crazy. Angels struck down 185,000 men in one night. 38. So when we come to the end and the angels are battling across the earth, how long is it going to take to wipe out 8 billion people? Not very long. That's why the war scroll confuses me. 40 years. Yep, okay. Isaiah. Yep, Aloha. So, 38. Isaiah 38. In those days was Hezekiah sick and near death. Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz, came to him and said to him, Yahuwah says, set your house in order, for you will die and not live. Then Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to Yahuwah and said, remember now, Yahuwah, I beg you, how I have walked before you in truth. His law is truth. Psalm 119, 152, and Psalm 119, 142. Let's go there, just in case somebody doesn't know. The scriptures give us our definitions. So if we get our definitions from scriptures, we'll be less likely to be deceived by man. Right? Always get your definitions from scriptures, not from men. Psalms 119, 142, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Is a big fat equal sign. That means law equals truth. Truth equals law. So when they say truth, they mean law. When they say law, it is truth. 152. Okay, so 151. Psalm 119, 151. Commandments are truth. So that R right there is a big equal sign. Commandments equals truth. Truth equals his commandments. Walk before you in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done what is good in your sight. Hezekiah wept bitterly. So, with a perfect heart. What's the definition of a perfect heart? Deuteronomy 5:29. This is what Father wants from everybody. Deuteronomy 5:29. Oh, that there were such a heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever. I say a lot of times this is This is the English word translated always, but the Hebrew says all the days. So all days, always. Then Yahuwah's word came to Isaiah, saying, Go and tell Hezekiah, Yahuwah, the Elohim of David your father, says, and that wouldn't be a V in the ancient times, it would be a U. So Daoud. It's kind of weird saying it that way, isn't it? I have heard your prayer. I have seen your tears. Behold, I will add 15 years to your life. I will deliver you and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city for my sake and for the sake of my servant David, Daoud. So this was left out of the text here for some reason. For my sake, for Father's sake, and for the sake of my servant David. This shall be the sign to you from Yahuwah. So he didn't just answer his prayer because Hezekiah repented. He answered his prayer for his will, his sake, and for the sake of David. This shall be the sign to you from Yahuwah, that Yahuwah will do this thing that he has spoken. That's a big thing right there to drop out of the text. That's why I encourage people to use the Dead Sea Scrolls. That's huge. If you read this in a regular translation and you don't have that, you just think it's because Hezekiah prayed and he was forgiven. Nope, that's not this little part right here left out changes the whole context. Behold, I will cause the shadow of the sundial, which has gone on the upper sundial of Ahaz, with the sun to return backwards 10 steps. So it's not just a sundial, it's the upper sundial. So the sun returned 10 steps on the sundial on which it had gone down. I don't know anything about a sundial, so I don't have a clue about what that means. I know what backwards means. The writing of Hezekiah, king of Yehuda, when he had been sick and had recovered of his sickness. I said, in the middle of my life, I go into the gates of Sheol. I am deprived of the residue of my years. I said, I won't see Yah in the land of the living. That's up here. And I will see man no more with the inhabitants of the world. My dwelling is removed, and is removed from me like a shepherd's tent. So not carried away, just removed. I have counted like a weaver my life. He didn't roll up his life. He will cut me off from the loom. From day even to night you will make an end of me. I waited patiently until morning. He breaks all my bones like a lion. From day even to night you will make an end of me. I chattered like a swallow or a crane. I moaned like a dove. My eyes weakened, looking upward. Yahuwah, or Master, I am oppressed. Be my security. What will I say? And a lot of times in there it does say Adon. So it would be Lord or Master. Lord's just the English translation for master. Somebody in authority, somebody over you. Be my security. What will I say? He has spoken to me, and himself has done it to me. I will walk carefully all my years because of the anguish of my soul. Carefully. Walk carefully. Keep the commandments because of the anguish of my soul. So anguish and David. Psalm 119:71. It was good for me that I have been afflicted, anguish of my soul, that I might learn thy statutes, his commandments, his ordinances, his statutes, his law. Talking about the same thing, how to walk, being afflicted. Master, men live by these things, and his spirit finds his life in all of them. So his commandments are life. You restore me and cause me to live, for they are your life. It tells you that also. That's another definition. most of you probably already know this, but in case somebody doesn't know, if you will enter into life, keep the commandments. So the Messiah parallels it there. Blessed are they that keep Revelation. Blessed are they that keep the commandments. They might have the right, the tree of life, life and commandments. This is Deuteronomy. Okay, so Deuteronomy 30:19, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you that I've set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. How do you choose life? Well, in the context of Deuteronomy 30, it tells you here in verse 16 to keep his commandments and his statutes and his judgments, that thou mayest live, see, and be blessed, not cursed. Bless. And over here, obey his voice means keeping his commands, stuff that comes out of his mouth, the Hebrew mindset, and that thou mayest cleave unto him. To cleave unto him is to do his will, for he is life and length of days. And then you get the blessing that he swore unto the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Behold, for peace I had very great anguish. So peace, his law is peace. And breakers of the law are doers of violence. So when the Bible talks about peace, it's keeping his law. When they talk about violence, it's breaking his law, lawbreakers. It's not just about physical violence, but violence to his law in the spirit. Psalm 119, 165, great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. So peace and keeping the law, loving the law, go together. Violence is hate, hating the law, breaking God's commands. So, but you have in love for my soul delivered it from the pit of corruption. So this is a Hebrew parallelism. First he's talking about peace. Now he's talking about the pit of corruption. For you have cast all my sins behind your back. So peace, sins, opposed. Without sin is peace. With sin. For Sheol can't praise you. So the people in Sheol, in the chambers in the earth, and death can't celebrate you. Those who go down into the pit can't hope for your truth, your law. The living, he shall praise you as I do today. The Father shall make known your truth to the children. Yahuwah will save me. The living, he shall praise you as I do today. The Father shall make known your truth to the children. So he repeated it to drive home the point. And this was dropped out. I guess they thought they didn't need it. But that was in the scroll to drive home the point. That's why it's repeated twice. Yahuwah will save me, both repeated. Therefore we will sing my songs with stringed instruments all the days of our life in Yahuwah's house. Where's Yahuwah's house at? Not just the one that was on the ground, but the one that's coming, New Jerusalem, Revelation 22. Isaiah 56:7, even then will I bring to my holy mountain, New Jerusalem, and make them joyful in my house of prayer, their burnt offerings and their sacrifices. Guess what? We get to do burnt offerings and sacrifices. Shall be accepted upon mine altar, for my house shall be called a house of prayer for all people. Yes, there's burnt offerings and sacrifices in the kingdom coming. Now Isaiah had said, a cake of figs, and lay it for a poultice on the boil, and he shall recover. I don't know what a poultice is. Poultice. can be used on wounds. Isaiah 38:21. A lump of figs, apply it as a poultice. One occurrence in the Bible. English Man's Concordance. Lexicon's a little bit better. Cake of figs. Say 38. Zoom in a little bit. 38. So KJV's got plaster upon the boil. Marah, not plaster. Yep. Vaye Maraku. Same word. Vaye Maraku. Yep. So H4799. Strong's is not the best, but it works. Maroc. Lay it for plaster. Cal also to rub. Primitive root. Medicinally to apply. Jacinius Hebrew Chaldee Lexicon, to rub, to bruise, to rub out. Arab. Upon the ulcer. Place it upon the boil. Yeah. On the boil, and he shall recover. Hezekiah also said, what is the sign that I will go up to Yahuwah's house? 21. Sorry. So I like to investigate weird stuff like that. Isaiah 39. At that time, Merodach, Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he heard that he had been sick and had recovered. Hezekiah was pleased with them and showed them all the house of his precious things, the silver, the gold, the spices, and the precious oil, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah didn't show them. Then Isaiah the prophet came to King Hezekiah and asked him, what did these men say? Where did they come from to you? Hezekiah said, they have come from a country far from me, even from Babylon. Then he asked, what have they seen in your house? Hezekiah answered, they have seen all that is in my house. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not shown them. Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, hear the word of Yahuwah of armies, Yahuwah Sevaot. Behold, the days are coming when all that is in your house and that which your fathers have stored up until today will be carried to Babylon. They will go and nothing will be left. Says Yahuwah, they will take away your sons who will issue from you, whom you shall father, and they will be eunuchs in the king of Babylon's palace. Then Hezekiah said to Isaiah, so this is pre-Babylon, so the northern kingdom's already gone. I get the prophets mixed up sometimes with the timing. Then Hezekiah said to Isaiah, Yahuwah's word which you have spoken is good. He said, moreover, for there will be peace and truth in my days. So Hezekiah's like, oh, it ain't going to happen in my days. I'm happy. So it'll just be my sons. That's kind of selfish. 8. $39. $37. So Isaiah 40, comfort my people, says your Elohim. Speak comfortably to Jerusalem and call out to her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, that she has received of Yahuwah's hand double for all her sins. The voice of one who calls out, prepare the way of Yahuwah in the wilderness. So what were the temple priests in the Dead Sea Scrolls doing? They were preparing the way in the wilderness, and John was with them. And make a level highway in the desert for our Elohim. Excuse me. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low. The uneven shall be made level, and the rough places a plain. Yahuwah's glory shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken it. This is the second coming. So you see how we transition there to what was going on back then, and then we get transitioned into prophecy. And this right here reminds me of Revelation, double for her sins. Jerusalem's going to be destroyed again before the second Exodus when Israel returns, the real Israel. The voice of one saying, cry. One said, what shall I cry? All flesh is like grass, and all its glory is like the flower of the field. The grass withers, the flower fades, but Yahuwah, our Elohim's breath, blows on it. So here the scroll substitutes 4 dots for the name of Yahuwah. So my theory on that is when they put 4 dots in a scroll, they knew it was a place marker for the divine name. But I think that's a scroll that can be destroyed. If they write the divine name in the scroll, they can't destroy it. I think that's why they did that. So surely the people are like grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our Elohim stands forever. I'm not sure why this is marked out here, because that makes no sense at all. But the word of our Elohim, what? So, you who tell good news to Zion, I'd have to see the manuscript to know why he did that. You who tell good news to Zion, go up on the high mountain. What's the good news? The gospel. Go up on a high mountain. You who tell good news to Jerusalem, lift up your voice with strength. Lift it up. Don't be afraid. Say to the cities of Yehuda, behold your Elohim. Behold, the master Yahuwah will come as a mighty one, and his arm will rule for him. Who's his arm? Messiah. Behold, his reward is with him, and his recompense before him. He will feed his flock like a shepherd. He's the good shepherd. He will gather the lambs in his arm and carry them in his bosom. He will gently lead those who have their young. Gently lead. Exodus. Who has measured the waters in the hollow of his hand, and marked out the sky with his span, and calculated the dust of the earth in a measuring basket, and weighed the mountains in scales, and the hills in a balance? Who has directed Yahuwah's spirit, or who has taught him as his counselor? He needs no counselor. Who did he take counsel with, and who instructed him, and taught him in the path of justice? God's law. And taught him knowledge? God's law. Commandments, instructions, and showed him the way of understanding? Same thing. God's law, his commandments, his instructions. Behold, the nations are like a drop in a bucket, and are regarded as a speck of dust on a balance. Behold, he lifts up the islands like a very little thing. Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor its animals sufficient for a burnt offering. All the nations are like nothing before him. They are regarded by him as less than nothing and vanity. To whom then will you liken Elohim? Or what likeness will you compare to him? A workman has made, casting an image, and the goldsmith overlays it with gold, and casts silver chains for it. He who is too impoverished for such an offering chooses a tree that will not rot. What they put on Christmas trees. Gold, silver, choosing a tree. He seeks a skillful workman to set up a carved image for him that will not be moved. And a lot of people say this is just an idol, which it can be carved into an idol, a person, a statue. But also, when we did this when I was little, my dad and I, we did a tree one year, and we had to carve the bottom so it would fit in the tree stand. So I don't know if that's what it means, but haven't you known? Haven't you heard? Haven't you been told from the beginning? Haven't you understood from the foundation of the earth, It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers. So it's not a globe, it's a circle. If he looks down at the earth, do you say the ball of the earth? No, the circle of the earth. If he looks down, it's this circle. A flat circle, minus the mountains and hills and valleys. You look at kind of gives you a picture. This is not perfectly to spec, but it kind of gives you like a picture of what it looks like. He stretched out the heavens like a tent, Scripture says. The circle of the earth, this would, if you're looking straight down at it, it would form a circle around. And then you've got the circle, the arch of the heavens. And then you've got Sheol where the chambers are at. You've got the heavens and all the luminaries up here, right? You got the foundations of the heavens and the foundations of the earth. Like a house has foundations. And the earth is his footstool. Anybody use a ball for a footstool? No. Acts 7:49, heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. What house will you build me, saith Yahuwah, or what place is the place of my rest? We had a footstool when I was younger, and it was flat. Put your feet up on it. You can use a ball. It's not too comfortable. It is he who sits above the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain, or like a tent. He spreads them out like a tent. Yeah, curtain. So the curtain and a tent, like a tent to dwell in. Who brings princes? What do you lay a tent on? Do you lay a tent on a ball? No, you lay a tent on a flat surface. The most flat surface you can find. Who brings princes to nothing? Who makes the judges of the earth like meaningless? They are planted scarcely, they are sown scarcely, their stock has scarcely taken root in the ground. He merely blows on them and they wither, and the whirlwind takes them away as stubble. The fire as stubble. To whom will you liken me? Who is my equal, says the Holy One? Lift up your eyes on high and see who has created these, who brings out their army by number. He calls them all by name, by the greatness of his might, and because he is strong in power, not one is lacking. So when the 144,000 go out, Israel, not one is lacking. That's because of him. It's not because of us. Why do you say Yaakov and speak Yisrael? My way is hidden from Yahuwah, and the justice due me is disregarded by my Elohim. Haven't you known? Haven't you heard? The everlasting Elohim, Yahuwah, the creator of the ends of the earth, doesn't faint. This applies to the Son as well. He comes in the Father's name. The creator of the ends of the earth doesn't faint. He isn't weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the weak. He increases the strength of him who has no might. Little strength. Even the youths faint and get weary, and the young men utterly fail or fall. Psalm 91. But those who wait for Yahuwah will renew their strength. They will mount up with wings like eagles. Wings. They will run and not be weary. They will walk and not faint. Second Exodus. We're going to need to walk and not faint. So go over here. Go to Psalms. There's a lot of second Exodus verses in here too. In Psalms. Before, after. Psalm 91. Of David matches the LXX where it says of David. So they preserve that part. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. The one saying of Yahuwah, He is my refuge and my fortress, my Elohim, the trustworthy one. So David didn't say, I will say of Yahuwah. See, that kind of changes the context of the prophecy right there. It changes it into a not prophecy. So now you know it's prophecy because he says the one saying of Yahuwah, He is my refuge and my fortress, my Elohim, the trustworthy one, in whom I trust. For He will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence, plague. He will cover you with His feathers. Under His wings, you will dwell. Not take refuge, dwell. Yeshav. Loving kindness is His loving kindness is your shield, and His faithfulness is a rampart. Selah. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day. Oh crap. Oops. Where's that at? There we go. Sorry about that. Clicked the wrong button. Terror by night. Dead Sea Scrolls references to like evil spirits and stuff like that. Terror by night. Arrow that flies by day. This is not in there. Nor of the destruction that wastes at noonday. It talks about spirits at noonday also. Nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness. So this doesn't go there, it goes here. To me, this is all about spirits from what the Dead Sea Scrolls say. So it's going to be a lot of evil spirits. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not strike you. You will only look with your eyes and see the recompense of the wicked, lawlessness, lawbreakers. The noun verb order in the scroll differs from the Masoretic text without changing the translation. So I just got things switched around. So this is not in there. It says, you have called your shelter His delight. Got a little bit missing there. You shall not see evil, neither shall any plague strike your dwelling. So it's not that you're not going to see evil. The evil is not going to affect you. That's what seeing evil is. Neither shall any plague strike your dwelling, for He will put His angels in charge of you, His holy ones, not Greek, angelos, His holy ones, watchers, in charge of you to guard you in your ways. And that all is not needed. They added that for clarification. It's not needed. To guard you in your ways. They will bear you up in their hands so that you won't dash your foot against a stone. The devil tempted Messiah with that right there. And what did he say? Luke 4:11. In their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. And Yahusha answering, well, he said, verse before this, for it is written, He shall give His angels charge over thee to keep thee. Then he quotes the verse, and Yahusha answering said unto him, It is said, Thou shalt not tempt Yahuwah thy Elohim. And when the devil had ended all the temptation, he departed from him for a season. So he always comes back. He might depart for a little while, might come back and attack us again. But thou shalt not tempt Yahuwah thy God. He was trying to get him to cast thyself down. Pinnacle of the temple, cast yourself down, because the scriptures say that He will bear you up. Right? But we don't do that. We just trust in Him, and we're not going to test Him by jumping off a cliff. They will bear you up in their hands so that you won't dash your foot against a stone. You will tread on the cobra and the viper, not on the lion. You will trample the young lion and the serpent underfoot. So young lion comes into play here. First verse has cobra and viper. You will trample young lion and serpent underfoot. Because you delight in Yahuwah, he will deliver you and be your refuge. Verse 15 is missing. Let's go. The Psalms are one backwards and one forwards in the Septuagint. Yep, so Psalm 90 in the Septuagint will be 91 in the Masoretic text. And they've got the Dead Sea Scrolls numbered after the Masoretic text. So 15, he shall call upon me and I will hearken to him. I am with him in affliction. I will deliver him and glorify him. Glorify him. Be like the angels. He will show you his salvation. Selah. Then they will answer, Amen, Amen, Selah. Amen means so be it. So 3 matches the LXX translation. So you get that a lot in the scrolls that they match the LXX, but that does not make the LXX perfect. So that's all end times prophecy about what he's going to do to protect his people. 31. Oh, wrong one. Go back. Well, they're walking, not faint. Okay. Yep. So 41. Isaiah 41. Keep silent before me, islands, and let the peoples renew their strength. Let them come near, then let them speak. Let's meet together for judgment. What's that? When does that happen? When he gets back? Who has raised up one from the east? Who called him to his foot in righteousness? If you don't know what's going on in the east, I highly recommend that you go through and check this stuff out. I don't agree with everything they say, but they have some good research. Ophir Institute. So you got ophirinstitute.com. Shows where the ancients they had it drawn in on their maps. Paradise, Garden of Eden, they had Adam and Eve drawn in. In the east, the Far East, Philippines. This book tells you all about it. Solomon's Treasure gives all their research that shows that people used to know that's where the Garden of Eden was at, the land of gold, Philippines. And it matches the directions given in Enoch. It matches the directions given in Jubilees. It matches the directions given in Genesis. And you know, whether you have a thing against the Philippines or whatever, it don't matter. Like, what's the truth? That's what we should be looking for. If the God culture upset you, lay it aside for a second. Forgive. You know. Who has raised up one from the east, who called him to his foot in righteousness. He hands over nations to him and makes him rule over kings. He gives them like the dust to his sword, like the driven stubble to his bow. He pursues them and passes by safely, even by a way that he had not gone with his feet. Who has worked and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, Yahuwah, the first, and with the last, I am he. The islands have seen and fear. What's over in the Philippines? The islands. The ends of the earth tremble. Where's the Philippines at? The ends of the earth. They approach and come. Everyone helps his neighbor. They say to their brothers, be strong. So the carpenter encourages the goldsmith. Well, there's gold. Ophir. He who smooths with the hammer encourages him who strikes the anvil, saying of the soldering, it is good, and he fastens it with nails that it might not totter. But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the offspring of Abraham, my friend, seed of Abraham, you whom I have taken hold of from the ends of the earth, and called from its corners, and said to you, you are my servant, I have chosen you, I have not cast you away. So the ends of the earth. Look at those old maps, those flat maps. What's at the ends of the earth? The Philippines. It's all the way at the end. You're my servant, I have chosen you, I have not cast you away. Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be dismayed, for I am your Elohim. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. Yes, I will uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. Who's his right hand? Messiah. Behold, all those who are incensed against you will be disappointed and confounded. Those who strive with you shall perish. Even those who contend with you, who contends with you, those who war against you will be as nothing, as a non-existent thing. That's not in there. For I, Yahuwah your Elohim, will hold your right hand, saying to you, don't be afraid, I will help you. Don't be afraid, you worm Jacob. I don't know why that's translated worm. 14. They used to get on my nerves when Mark would call us Jacob, worm, it's a good thing. Come on, dude. So, I know most people don't know who Mark is, but some people do. 41, 14. It's got worm in there too. How's the Septuagint translate it? Fear not, Jacob, and thou Israel, few in number, I have helped thee. So it does not have worm in there. Thompson Septuagint. Yep, praise Yah for revealing it to us. Yep, praise Yah. I totally agree. So 14. Fear not, Jacob, diminutive Israel, I have helped thee. So Septuagint does not have worm either. 41. What's the Targum got? That's why I want to learn Hebrew. I can just read from the manuscript myself. I don't have to rely on the translation. 41. 14. Fear ye not, ye tribes of the house of Jacob, ye seed of Yisrael, my word shall be your help, saith Yahuwah, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. It does not say worm. That's what they'll do when they translate the Dead Sea Scrolls. They'll follow the Masoretic text a lot of times. So Septuagint does not have worm. Brenton Septuagint, Thompson Septuagint, the Chaldee Isaiah Targums does not have worm. The Masoretic text has worm. And the word they have here is tola, translated as scarlet 34 times, worm 8, crimson 1 time. And what did he say about Jacob? He said, right, Isaiah 1:18, come now and let us reason together, saith Yahuwah, though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. That's the promise to Israel. He's going to cleanse our sins. You see in Revelation, we'll be white like wool. So scarlet. Don't be afraid. Scarlet Jacob, or stained Jacob, sin-stained Jacob, you men of Israel, I will help you, says Yahuwah, your Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. That fits a lot better than worm. Behold, I have made you into a new sharp threshing instrument with teeth. You will thresh the mountains and beat them small, and will make the hills like chaff. You will winnow them, and the wind will carry them away, and the whirlwind will scatter them. You will rejoice in Yahuwah, and you will glory in the Holy One of Israel. The poor and the needy seek water, and there is none. Their tongue fails for thirst. I, Yahuwah, will answer them. The Elohim of Israel will not forsake them. I will open rivers on the bare heights and springs in the middle of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water and the dry land springs of water. Second Exodus. I will put cedar, acacia, myrtle, and oil trees in the wilderness. I will set up cypress trees, pine, and box trees together in the desert, that they may see, know, and comprehend. So we're going to comprehend, consider, and understand together that Yahuwah's hand has done this, and the Holy One of Israel has created it. Produce your cause, says Yahuwah. Bring out your strong reasons, says the King of Yaakov. Let's say what is it, Jeremiah? Come, let us reason together. Or no, that, not Jeremiah. What we just read. Come now, let us reason together, right? Bring out your strong reasons. See, matches. Says the King of Yaakov, let them announce and declare to us what shall happen. That's confirmation that you know that the parallel is correct. You'll see other parallels in the scripture that match. Bring out your strong reasons, says the King of Yaakov. Let them announce and declare to us what shall happen. Declare the former things what they are, that we may consider them and know, or the latter end of them. So we're supposed to know the former things as well. Declare the things that are to come hereafter, that you may know that you are gods, sons of Elohim, right? Yes, do good or do evil, that we may be dismayed and see it together. Behold, you are of nothing, and your work, he who chooses you is an abomination. I have raised up one from the north, and he has come from the rising of the sun, and he calls on his name, and they shall come on rulers as on mortar, and as the potter treads clay. Who has declared it from the beginning, that we may know it, before that we may say he is right? Surely there is no one who declares. Surely there is no one who shows. Surely there is no one who hears your words. I am the first to say to Zion, behold, look at them, and I will give one who brings good news to Jerusalem. When I look, there is no man, even among them there is no counselor. When I ask of them, can I answer a word? Who, when I ask of them, can answer a word? Behold, all of them, their deeds are vanity and nothing. Their molten images are wind and confusion. 29. Yep. All right, it keeps going. Second Exodus, I want to keep it to about an hour, but it's going to keep going in Second Exodus. What's going to happen? But we'll stop there for now. So 41, covered a good bit. Praise Yah. So if I got anything right, praise Yah. If I got anything wrong, that's my fault. I apologize. If I missed anything, feel free to leave a comment and share so I can learn as well. And test all things. Don't just take my word for it. Pray, study the word. Let him be the final say, not us, based on what his word says. So anybody keeping Sabbath, happy Sabbath. Hope y'all have a good rest of the Sabbath, and hope to see you next time.